Okay.
So stand by. You check on Mixler. Clear.
Well, good afternoon. This typically is a beautiful day in Buckhead, but we always plan for beautiful days in Buckhead. My name is Michael Moore, and we're here today on the Buckhead Business Show, and it is great to have three fabulous guests with us. And I know I don't have to tell you folks out there listening that the Buckhead Business Show is brought to you in part by the Buckhead Business Association. That 65-year-old, it's getting closer to 66 though, 65-plus-year-old organization. It's never had an audible voice. We've now put together a way to get the message out, because the tradition says that the Buckhead Business Association was founded back in 1951, and it was to figure out who was turning the garbage cans over in front of the stores at night. Boy, haven't things changed?
Is that you and your buddies, or
yeah.
who did that?
I don't know.
Want to mention any names?
No. Some of us were still crawling about that time. I don't think we were out in front of the stores.
We're going to fact check that and get back to you real quick.
That's what we call
We have to go to the archives, like
news.
What's that library feed, like the little screen that you would read?
All right, so our engineer is off the chain over here. That's Rich Casanova, for those of you who don't
Please
recognize.
just use my initials only.
RC, not JC, but RC. Well, I'm Michael Moore, and it's great to be here today. We've got three fabulous guests. We're going to have kind of a media day and a connectivity day, because we found out that we had some commonality in the group, but of course, information is what we bring. We're a business radio station. Did I mention business is our middle name?
Yeah.
So we're going to learn a little bit about media today. We're going to learn about a little bit how to use media properly, and I think we're going to spend some time talking a little bit about personal security and paying attention to what's going on around you, because I do have one crisis management person here to take.
We do.
We do.
Woo woo.
We've got Dontaye Carter from Carter Media Group, or CarterMedia.net, as he says sometimes. And we've got Lori Mans, who is a quality media consultant. Now, did I say we had a media show going on today?
We did.
I think you did.
And then last, we're going to have Jamarc Hurd, who's going to tell us a little bit about that personal consulting process and the security and the issues going around. I understand he's a part-time government employee. So we're going to learn about what's going on behind the curtain. Is that it? Like, what's that, Oz? Is that what we call Atlanta some days in Fulton County?
Yeah.
Oz.
Right, yeah.
Who's behind that curtain? So, well, let's kick it off this morning and talk about image. Because everybody looks pretty nice at the table here today.
That's the goal.
Very good to be with you folks.
Thank you.
Got you guys. I should have put her in the middle between you, though.
I know, right?
The rose between the thorns is how it would work.
A better picture. Right?
Yeah, a whole different picture. We are live on Periscope. We are live on Facebook, and if you'll look out there at Pro Business Channel, you're going to find some really interesting
They
information.
don't live YouTube. They just got offended. We're live on YouTube also. Yeah.
Wow. There was a comment there, and I hadn't finished
okay,
yet.
sorry.
Come on now.
Right.
That engineer, he will come out at you, won't he? He wants to make sure everything gets on air.
And Instagram too. Instagram.
Oh,
Jamarc's Instagram.
and Instagram. Does
Dontaye's
anybody have any more
Facebook.
initials to add to the game today?
By the end of the show, I think we're going to launch a brand new platform. It doesn't even exist without 5 minutes ago.
I know. For you, those watching live, we've got the cartoon over there with all the logos, being live on about 18 different platforms, or 19, or maybe, as he said, 20 before we finish.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the media and the brand and the process. Tell me what Carter Media does to make people better out there.
Well, for Carter Media, my big focus is storytelling. My big focus is storytelling. It's being able to tell the business's story. It's being able to tell the individual, the business owner's story as well. So that's our big focus. We use your story to connect you with your audience, which in turn helps you to drive business.
Okay, well, Dontaye obviously is the principal guy. He is a public relations expert, though, and I want to give him you got some history here. Good Morning Show. Did you do something here special?
Well, I worked here at CBS 46 Worked at 11 Alive. I was all over the place as a reporter. You know, nowadays
I remember
it's
that space. Yeah.
nowadays it's not necessarily being on one show or covering one particular subject. It's being all over the place, and so it really helped to develop me, to cultivate me. And you know, when I went over to the DA's office, I was their youngest director of public affairs. So it was a different experience. It was a
Now,
huge
talking
load.
about storytelling, you really had to build some stories.
Yeah,
there,
I
didn't
did.
you?
Definitely.
And
you
keep
know.
some stories beneath the line. So, in the public,
No comment.
that's okay. In public relations, we're going to talk about that process because it's very important that you tell, how does it go, the right small portion of your story to the
Yeah.
right person at the right time for the right reason,
That's correct.
with the right level of passion, or else that screen's going to blow you up in it.
That's true.
So talk about leaving that marketplace and going out into the real world.
Wow. So, you know, it was just being totally honest and
Oh
transparent.
no, lie to us. It's radio.
You know, I think one of the reasons why Jamarc and I worked so well together is he was one of the first people. Well, not one. He was the first person that helped me to quantify my work. I think a lot of people, especially public relations professionals, they do not do a great job of quantifying their work. And when I say quantifying, I mean really getting into the numbers, the impact, how far-reaching your work went. And so when I sat down, and so one of the purposes for me coming into the DA's office was to help them with their social media. And so it was developing that strategy, really connecting him with his audience. And I didn't realize while I was there that, man, I essentially took his platform from maybe reaching a few hundred people to reaching over 18,000 organic traffic numbers. And you're like, hold on, I'm on to something here. And you know, Jamarc did a great job of helping me to see that. And yeah, I've been running ever since. So, you know, I have a lot to bring to the table when I'm sitting down and really looking at the story. We're looking at the numbers, which part of your story fits best with your audience, and let's build upon that.
Well, the positive exposure is good. Now, in a public defender's or a defender's office or a prosecutor's office, where is the good part of the story? How do you navigate to make sure that you're getting out the stories? You said if you've got 18,000 sets of eyes and ears watching you or listening to you and wondering what's the rest of the story, how do you get past all that?
I think, honestly, you have to look at it in this sense. It's what story is reflective of your work. So working in the DA's office, we have attorneys there that were working long hours. You want to be able to highlight that. There was one particular case where there was a 13-year-old that was raped by an older man. And so it took us some time to find her because she had been, she ended up, when it, getting into the nitty-gritty of it all. But anyways, it took them some time to find her because she became a ward of the state. And once they found her, when they were able to fight for her case, that was when we ended up getting it on 11 Alive and a few other networks. But it was really huge because, so when we're talking about that story, the story that I was focusing on was, wow, okay, it literally took X amount of hours for them to locate this girl, X amount of hours to put the perpetrator on trial. And this is how we ended up fighting for justice. And so it's always, I mean, it's not easy.
Well,
But
the investments are hard to track, and that's a personal investment of your 24-hour working week and your 7 days, which some people try to obey. I mean, that's, how do you do that? I mean, how do you make sure that story gets across? The details, or is it the spin of the story that makes it better?
Well, I think it is the details. I think, you know, there's that saying, God is in the details, you know? And so when you can get down to the details and people understand what you did, how you did it, and who it impacted, it makes a great difference.
So, finding the right part of the story, but also getting the backstory correct.
Yeah,
And getting
correct.
the support of the people you're supporting.
Yeah.
And in the DA's office and the marketplace, because, you know, those guys have to get elected, right?
Yeah. Well, and
that's what sounds like what you're going to tell us about it.
But I think the thing that people don't realize is, you know, we sit over here and we watch these shows, whether it's Law and Order or whatever it is, and you just think, you know, man, this case should have been settled in 60 minutes, and we don't take into consideration the impact of life. Whatever life is, the impact of life. And so I do a good job of really looking at what life is and making sure that I'm able to maximize it, incorporating it in your story, and back to your point of the details, using those details to allow people to see the process.
And I just want to we're correcting each other today, so it's only 42 minutes with commercials, not 60 minutes. We got to solve it in 42 minutes. It just got tighter out there in the marketplace. Now, you work with companies and you work with all types of people, so I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. Tell me about your most fun project you're working on right now. Now, leave out the names, change the names, whatever you do. What are you working on today?
You know, I think the most fun project that I'm working on, and it's fun for me because there's passion behind it. So I'm working with you know, I work primarily with attorneys, and so this particular person was referred to me by a law firm, and her son was he was killed in a school shooting. And so many times she said, you know, I'm looking at the narrative right now, and everybody wants to jump on gun control, gun control, gun control. She said, I just want to help parents heal. She said, there's so many parents like me that have lost their children because of a school shooting. And she said, I just want to be able to build a platform that takes these parents along this journey with me towards healing. And I felt like going on this journey with her, I've gotten some healing along the way too. But you know, it allows me to see like, wow, I can use my services, my products, and all of these things to really change the world in a sense.
Well, you're exactly right. You know, it's not the obvious; it needs to be told as a story.
That's
and
right.
This lady certainly has the background for that. Now, you deal with the positive as well as the negative.
I
So,
do
how do
all.
you turn around some of those stories that are not favorable? Let's talk about that just a minute, then we'll move on. All right. Short story on that one. He's over there ready to go. So you know from the public sector.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a very interesting place. Me coming out of the business aspect of things into the public. Definitely the management of people is something different than the marketplace itself. So I definitely learned a lot being in the government space. And even more from a technology aspect, how do you use the story? What platforms do you use to actually connect with the public, right? So, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so that public relations approach from what we see versus what is real, you're managing that stuff every day.
Very much so. But from a technology aspect, you know, I sit kind of behind the scenes, right? I get a chance to be in the meetings and see how that works and to build the websites and the apps and things like that to kind of service the public, right? So I get a chance to hear it, and I get a chance to see him at work. So it's definitely interesting coming out of a business, selling products and things like that.
So you really don't want to know how the sausage is made, right?
No, it actually adds to it's a different skill set, I would say. Yeah. It's definitely a different skill set.
Well, now you evolved into this job over time, and I want, and I said later we want to talk about the security process. But Jamar, it's just a different skill set to work with filtering information to ensure that the right story gets out. So you guys have been working together doing that. So talk a little bit about the challenges of getting the right story out and making sure you don't have to backstep, sidestep, or reverse steps.
Well, from a purely technical aspect.
Purely technical. This is on the
Purely
board.
technical.
I will say, you know, over the past year and a half, I've got a chance to learn learn with storytelling and how you spin the information. So I'm primarily the guy who provides the information or builds the platform, whether the websites and the use Facebooks and whatever mediums you use to get the information out and kind of provide support from that area. So to answer your question, how does the story? What's my perspective on it? I've started to realize that what you see and what it is it's different depending on where you're trying to go with the story. So I would say that's really not my profession. So I really don't have.
So it's a little bit with different audiences, as you say.
Exactly. It just depends on what you're trying to get done and what you're trying to push forward, right?
Well, and as you say, which car we take from the garage that day? How are you going to drive it? Whether you're going to be a nice guy or whether you're going to be pushing the traffic, or
exactly.
whether you're going to be beating on the steering wheel, or what you're going to be. All right. Well, that's great. Let's just take a break here for a moment. We're kind of about mid range here, and I want to tell you about the Buckhead Business Association because, as I joked about, 65 years of looking at the city or our community, as we call it. Most people don't realize the reach of Buckhead, but we have a business association here which has been around for a while, and for the reason of helping people do better business. We have a small area footprint. We're part of the city of Atlanta, but we do things. We do something every month. We have about 3 breakfast meetings, and we have an after hours. We do those on Thursday mornings at 7 o'clock at the City Club of Buckhead. City Club of Buckhead sounds like we're a city then. We're just a community, we're part of Atlanta. And then in the afternoon, we do an after hours so the people who don't get up as early, because we start at 7:30 to 9. We have a great business program. we have a great time in mixing and fellowship there at the club, and we overlook the city. We get to look south and watch the sunrise over Atlanta, which we do pay for, by the way. And then the last part is, of course, that after hours, and we have some annual luncheons, we have some safety awards, we do a lot of very special stuff. And I'd encourage you to go to buckheadbusiness.org, take a look at our events, and join us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to invite you guys, since it is the third Thursday. If you're available, we're going to go right over to the Sage Restaurant. I'll let you buy your own drinks, but I will provide you some good food. And you'll come at the courtesy of the organization. You'll meet some cool folks that are here at Buckhead.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
All right, we won't miss that. So after hours, third Thursday, Monday, first, second, and fourth, we always meet, and the fifth is potluck, but we'll let you keep informed on that. So again, because of the Buckhead Business Association and Pro Business Channel, we offer this show as the Buckhead Business Show each month to bring people who we want to focus on. And certainly storytelling is important.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think that's part of one of my titles. So
Storytelling.
we'll get that down in a minute, and we'll look back now. You know, taking that information, that story from we've talked about the public relations side, we talked a little about the government stories. But in a real life world, I'm going to get Lori Mann here, who's got her own agency also in the media world, to talk more about coaching the CEOs to tell their own story. And actually, I know that you're one of those people who's a trailblazer. I'm going to be excited to hear about your trailblazer process. And although we got one coming up soon, I'm sure you do it periodically, and that's going to be a lot of fun for us to learn about. What is a trailblazer?
Someone who blazes trails for others.
Oh, that sounds like a Wild West story to me. We're here in the South. This is not a Wild West now.
Well, you know, you got to be a leader, not a follower. So
Amen.
I believe in leading the pack and not following.
Very good. Well, what is the Trailblazer series? I think you've got an event coming up soon, but you've got a bunch of speakers and a lot of good information.
Yeah, it's called the Trailblazer Business Summit, and it is going to be Saturday, April 21st at the Courtyard Marriott in Tucker. And the whole purpose is to gather entrepreneurial trailblazers, people who really are great at what they do and they're looking to get to that next level of success. And so I've invited some of my best business buddies to come out and talk about things that entrepreneurs care about. And some of those topics are marketing, SEO, how to use your website to be a cash register.
I like that sound. Is that a cha-ching sound?
Yes,
Cha-ching.
it's definitely a cha-ching. So that's one of the things that's so important in business is to have a website that tells your story and also attracts your target market to you and makes people want to stick around and give you information. And not only that, we like websites too that help you to make money in your sleep.
All right, that's definitely a cha-ching
Yeah.
after hours. Now, you've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and this is not a new subject for you, but what possessed you to put together a group like this and on a Saturday morning to get people out? I mean,
Well, you know what? I'm a solo entrepreneur. I've been in business for 8 years, and the outstanding thing about solo entrepreneurship is, you know, we're non-employers, so we don't employ people. We have probably contractors, freelancers, all kind of people that we outsource, right?
now let's don't talk about child labor here.
But you know, we get it done how we get it done, and so for me, I said, you know what? I want to put something together for people like me who either have no staff or either they have a very small staff, but they need systems, they need strategies, they need information to figure out how to grow their business on a continual basis and what are some of the smart ways that they can do that. And so that is, you know, marketing and sales and PR, and there's so many different topics. And so every year I do this event in April and I pick topics that I know entrepreneurs like me are going to care about, and I invite other people to come and speak, and we do like TED Talks, you know, style presentations. And everybody learns, everybody, you know, comes together and networks and learns information to help them actually implement, you know, and take their business to the next level.
Well, I'm sure, pretty sure your registration is pretty tight now, but I know that we can look out for next April. So how do they find the Trailblazer Summit online?
So basically they go to qualitymediaconsultants.com.
Okay.
I'll say it again, qualitymediaconsultants with an S.com. And so actually I looked before I came here, we have like 4 seats left.
Good deal.
So
I got 2 guys right here signed up.
yeah, so I would, you know, love to sell out today on this show. And if anyone wants to go to the website and register, you can type in the promotional code radio and get a percentage off of the registration.
Wow, that's great.
Exciting.
Well, I'm looking forward to next year's, but I'm also looking forward to one this Saturday out in Tucker. I guess that's DeKalb County out that way.
It is.
It sounds like by La Vista Mall, is that right?
It is.
Or by La Vista Road, good.
Yeah.
Well, I know that'll be a lot of fun, but now you've worked with hundreds of executives and you've worked with people who needed to focus their brand, focus their storytelling yourself, but it's all about where you participate. And I think you shared with me the media planning idea. I mean, it's live fire when you're trying to promote your brand and grow your brand. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that I always tell people when you're trying to grow your brand, it's talk about the brand promise. Talk about what is it that people can expect to experience when they engage with your brand. And so when you think about some of the well-known brands that are out there, you know, like the Walmarts of the world, they guarantee you that they're going to give you the lowest price, right? And that's what they're known for. So that's their brand promise to us. So when you think about some of the smaller businesses that you may know of, what is it that you're going to say to the public? What is it that you're going to say in your story that makes people connect with you and remember you? What's the brand promise and what can they expect to achieve after they've bought from you, engaged from you, or had an experience with your business?
Well, you know, you just brought up an interesting point, that brand promise. But, you know, the individual, the receiver of the brand promise has an obligation, and that's to have a good experience.
Yes.
And then to tell that good experience to the next, 10 people? 15
Yeah, but
people?
you know, that's
50?
called brand ambassadorship, and you can't really bank on that because unless you have a brand that really prides itself on superior customer service, where people are going to have a great experience, you know, 9.9 times out of 10, you know, then that's when they become brand ambassadors. That's when they are going to tell their family, their friends, and everybody they know, and get on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. But I've noticed here in Atlanta, we've got a few brands, and I'm not going to call out a brand because nobody's paying for the advertising, but there are some folks in the service industry that do electrical things and plumbing things and pest things and even people who drive you around their cars and take a little money from you, but they show up on time. I mean, it all goes back, as you said, to customer service and training. And we're not going to talk about coffee people today, but it still happens there. When they know you by name, and when they give you the level of service that you are interested in having. And it's just like, as we said, when you get in the back of that car with someone else, they can pretty well tell if they're well trained and they want to do a good job, whether or not you want to be talked to, not talked to, whether you've been served and smiled to, or whether they want to tell you a good joke that day. And the same exists with Walmart. I mean, that's not the simple example, but you know, you've got to have the greeters who basically understand the people when they walk in the door and get an idea of what level of service they need.
Yeah.
Right.
Customer experience.
And so how do you begin to train not only employees, but how do you train people to properly accept the level of service that they're looking for? How do people look for a better brand? I don't know.
How do they look for
how do
a
they
better
look
brand?
for better brand? How do they make choices about the customers you work with? How do you get them to interpret how they are successful in getting their story out?
Well, I think that, you know, that's where the front end. So it's a whole process, a customer experience, right? So how do you communicate that story on various platforms to make sure that everything, you know, it's a seamless experience from maybe in store or online, right? Because people, I think now more than anything, as you can see with disruption, the people start, whoever provides the better experience, that's who gets the customer.
That's true.
What if you only need it one time?
Well, but that's when you start to provide value, right? So, I mean, but that's up to a business owner to say, hey, what else can I offer you to keep you engaged with my brand? Whether it be the story, whether it be a different product. That's on the onus of the business owner at that point, right? I mean,
well, the other thing is you're constantly looking for what challenges you can solve for your target market,
exactly.
what problems where. So people go looking for brands based on the issues that they have, based on the needs that they have. So your job as a business in whatever industry or niche that you're in is to identify, okay, what are the key problems that my target market has? What are their key needs, and how do I solve those needs? And then how do I position my brand above the others so that they come to me first?
And I think essentially that's where systems come in, right? So how do you even gauge that? How do you gauge how well you're doing? Right, so
you have benchmarks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they come from a system point of view. So from a touch point, right, whether it be Facebook, whether it be email lists and things like that, how do you align systems correctly to look at the data and say, hey, or make inference off what's going on.
Well, all
Before
we're going to do is thank goodness for computers and emails and surveys. But if you don't have the benefit of that, I mean, my local hardware store, do they have the benefit of that?
Well, and I think that's the challenge these days, right? Because right now, technology is oxygen, right? So at some point in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, you have to kind of get on these platforms and meet your customers where they are. Right?
That's true.
Well, it's your story. I'm going to let you stick to it.
well, no. At some point, you have to start to meet the customers where they are. We see a lot of big brands where you can sit in the mall and maybe try to do the traditional way, but
that's not going to work as well. We get malls closing every day.
There you go.
Well, I think you just have to be very realistic about the world that we live in right now.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Jamarc and I look at the world is vastly different compared to the way you might look at the world, Michael. You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of when I see the world, I see a very small place. Whereas, I know
it's a very small place.
Yeah,
compared to the rest of the universe.
Yeah, but I mean, when you sit back and think about it, when it's small, I mean, I communicate almost daily with other PR organizations in other countries. It's just crazy, There's so much that happens in the direct messaging, especially on Instagram. People reach out to you when they have questions. They want to talk to you. What are your thoughts on this? I see that you're doing the same things that I'm doing. And so, I mean, your customers are the same way. So, I mean, we were at a place where people were Googling to see if they could find somebody that had the services or products that they needed. Mm-hmm. Now people are going on Facebook and Instagram and doing that same search mechanism to find folks. And so it's being able to position yourself in those places that, in essence, so that people see you. Everybody's trying to get attention, right?
You did something real great there. You put Facebook and Instagram in one sentence. and you talked about customers, which I believe we got to look at the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Lori had something in her information she shared with me earlier about how you have to be able to quickly find the uniqueness of not only the need of the customer, but the uniqueness of whether or not you can serve that customer.
Yeah.
So that you can maximize your encounter.
Yeah.
Is that a fair word?
Encounter.
And that goes back to, we talk about the greeter by joke. Mm-hmm. If you can find the person who has the ability to read a personality, to read a need, to ask the right first question. I mean, that is so important. It's not how you do it. It's not how can I help you. It depends upon the way the person looks at you when they walk in your store, whether it's by virtual method, or by a realistic method, or by where it's referral. If my Ford is broken, I want to go in and I want to know what the clunk, clunk, bing, bing, pang, pang is meaning. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to say, what's wrong with your car? I don't know. That's why I came to you.
Exactly.
So, Lori, we're going to have to be wrapping up pretty soon. We've had 3 phenomenal guests today, and I don't think we've done this as a traditional show. Is it okay? I mean, gee, normally we go 1, 2, 3. But we've actually integrated this process a lot. I want to share with you just a thought, as I share with you as we did the pre-show time here. We're all connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you just outlined the fact that it's Instagram to Facebook, it doesn't really matter. There's a forum and a forte we have to have in order to interpret and extrapolate that information for the benefit of not only the provider, but the customer.
Yeah.
Today you've been the customer. Mm-hmm. How do we go out and tell the marketplace that we know how to do our business? You're the PR guy. Tell me.
I think that's, what you're seeing nowadays, right, is the evolution of education marketing. It's infographics, it's blogging, it's us, me, Jamarc, Lori, it's all of us sitting here talking to you and sharing with Buckhead, with Atlanta, with the greater metro Atlanta area, what we do, how we can impact them. And so I think it's a continuing education process, because people don't know what you do until you say it, until you share it.
That's right.
And the more that you actually know what your customers' pain points are, the more you can speak to those, the more you can say, hey, because I think it's one thing to get attention, it's another thing to develop trust. Right. And when they trust you, that's where we talk about branding. That's when everybody starts to come back. It's, I trust Dontaye. The experience that he provided me was amazing. I trust him. And when you get the trust,
as you know, trust and appreciate.
Yeah.
Mr. Hurd,
and pay their invoices too.
And pay their invoices. Timely and without discount, right?
Exactly.
Mr. Hurd?
Overall, I think customer experience, because I really feel that in the direction that we're going, you have that split second to grab a customer and to potentially solve their problem, and to constantly provide value through the systems you set up, I guess all your additional touch points, whether it be Facebook, whether it be these virtual areas, and as you spoke about, even in your brick and mortar, if that's what you have. So so constantly making sure that you refine that, making sure you stay up on your education, and making sure that you stay abreast of things, because things are changing so fast now, right? And business and technology really intertwines now, right?
You've got to interpret those analytics quickly and effectively, and then measure the results. So test, change, measure, whatever those synonymous things are.
Yep.
All right, Lori, bring us home from your perspective. What have we said right today here?
Well, I think we've said a lot that's right, and the core of it all is probably just to serve, and serve your target market in the way that they need you to serve them, and to be very proactive about anticipating their needs and stay above and ahead of the curve. And so being innovative is one of the best things that you can do in business, because when you're not innovative and when you don't keep up with the times, you get left behind. And you can ask, the type of companies, like the Circuit Cities of the world and the Blockbusters of the world, Toys R Us of the world, all of them,
Toys, I can't ask them anymore.
Apparently toys are no longer us,
Yes. So that's one of the things that you have to do, is just stay innovative and always anticipate the needs of your target market. And then when you anticipate those needs, show them how you fill those needs, again, by adding value and by making sure that they understand your uniqueness and how you bring something to the table that's different than your competition. And so when you're doing that, I think you'll always be ahead of the curve when it comes to business. And so it's just really about just keeping your head above water, really, when it comes to it.
All right, we got one more thought here. Don't have to wrap it up.
Get a great team.
That's right.
That's one thing that I've started to learn over the past couple of years. That make sure you keep good people around you who constantly keep you sharp, who might not understand different skill set, right? So have a good team. That's very important, I would say, especially as things start to change.
Well, and if I may add, fill the vacancies in your team when you recognize they exist because of the analytics you've been doing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You have a thought there? You look like we have one more thing to say.
And always have a PR person.
And always have a PR person.
Great.
Carter Media Group PR person.
A coach. All right,
More importantly, you need a business strategist who can help you see the big picture.
and you need a real analytics guy who can tell you what really did happen, right?
Really did happen.
All right, let's go around the horn. Miss Mann, let's get your regular commercial now. Tell us how to find you, what's going on. You got that 30 seconds.
Well, again, my name is Lori Manns. I'm with QualityMediaConsultants.com. We help entrepreneurs and small business owners to get more clients, gain brand visibility, and grow revenue in less time. You can find me at QualityMediaConsultants.com and follow me, Lori Manns, on Instagram and Twitter at Miss Quality Media. That's MS Quality Media.
And one more time, you are a trailblazer.
I am a
And you
trailblazer.
do this every year, and we need to stay tuned. Is there a special website for the Trailblazer Symposium?
It actually is on Eventbrite. So if you go in and type 2018 Trailblazer Business Summit, or you go to QualityMediaConsultants.com, you'll see it on the events page.
Great. Well, we look forward to joining you maybe tomorrow, or no, Saturday.
Saturday, I would love it.
All right, great. All right, Mr. Hurd,
You
your
get in line
turn.
tomorrow if you want to go there tomorrow and get in line.
We can camp out right there in the parking lot, right? Go stay at the hotel, camp out, be there. Don't miss it. Next, Mr. Hurd, how do we find you? Tell us what we missed.
I'm Jamarc Hurd of Hurd Consultants. I think I'm a business tech guru. I mean, I've had a business for a while, 10 years in the retail space, and also I develop apps and websites and all that good stuff.
You're like a magic man.
I'm pretty good at it.
Okay.
So I'm really in the tech space, but also been in the entrepreneur space and managed, at my business, had an umbrella of 20 people. You can find me on HurdConsultants.com.
HURD.
HURD. Yeah, so that's all right.
All right, good.
Thank you.
And last, the PR guy. We've always got to have a PR guy.
Always. Well, everybody, Dontaye Carter, you can find me on cartermedia.net. You can find me on Facebook, Carter Media Group. You can find me on Instagram, Carter Media Group. You can find me on LinkedIn, Carter Media Group, and Dontaye Carter. I like to keep it all simple, keep it simplified. And remembering, storytelling beats spreadsheets.
All right, that's a good idea. Now I'm going to ask you one question though. Spell Dontaye for the folks out there who may not spell it the way I or you did.
Oh, that is correct. So Dontaye, it's spelled DONTAYE. Taye, and Carter is regular spelling. But that's how I stand out in the marketplace as well. Is the name.
Thank your mother for that. Right? Thank your mother for that.
I do.
Well, this is Michael Moore. That's with 2 O's. And I'm here on behalf of the Buckhead Business Show today, on behalf of the Buckhead Business Association and Pro Business Channel. It has been a pleasure to have 3 very talented people, and you know what? They were pretty good natured.
Yeah.
We didn't do a traditional show today, but I hope you've gotten some value that comes out. So go to buckheadbusiness.org or go to probusinesschannel.com. Take a look at the link. As we say, listen often. And what else, Rich, do we say?
Show up at the events for breakfast on Thursdays, after hours the 3rd Thursday, and come by the studio. Submit your guest request. Go to the buckheadbusinessshow.com. And if you're a member, you get in the front of the line.
That's right.
If you're a future member, we'll consider your recommendation. Yeah.
That's right. If you want to advertise as sponsors, we'll take your name down and keep your mind. So
you pay cash at the door for those. Yeah.
Cash at the door. But it's a pleasure to be with you today again. Michael Moore and Rich Casanova for the benefit of the Pro Business Channel and the Buckhead Business Show, the Buckhead Business Association. And I think that's a wrap, Rich.
That sounds good to me.
I love it.
Oh, thank you guys.